Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Greg M here, trying to talk about some different things than sports. Of course, I normally be talking about track and field and covering that event, that kind of content. But I pay attention to other things that's going on in the world, and this caught my attention and the Motley Fool. Because I'm 59. One of these days, hopefully, I'm going to live to 62 and beyond, at least a few more years. But anyway, this the topic. Motley Fool. Social Security benefits cuts are an estimated 8 years away. Here's how much your monthly check would shrink. Now bear with me, I'm going to read through all this stuff. All right. And the story is by Sean Williams, 4 hours ago. Regardless of whether you're just entering the labor force or have hung up your work coat for good, Social Security income is likely to play a key role in your financial stability during retirement. For the last 23 years, National Pollster Gallup has surveyed retirees to determine how reliant they are on monthly Social Security income they receive. Between 80% and 90% of respondents, including 88% in April 2024, noted their Social Security income is necessary in some capacity to cover their expenses. So you see that? And there's a little video here. But let me read through this article and come back to see what this video is talking about. Unfortunately, this critical program to tens of millions of Americans has seen its own financial foundation weaken over many decades. Based on the latest estimates, sweeping Social Security benefit cuts may be just 8 years away. Wow. Social Security benefit cut may be needed by 2033. What are they going to cut something that we pay into? It's not the government give us this money. People work hard and pay into this. But anyway, ever since the first retired worker benefit check was mailed in January 1940, the Social Security Board of Trustees has released an annual report that offers the public an under the hood look at how the program generates every dollar in income, as well as documents where these dollars end up. Arguably, more important about the annual trustees report is the forward-looking projections, which take into account a myriad of factors such as changes to fiscal and monetary policy, along with demographic shift to estimate how financially sound America's leading retirement program is over the long term, i.e., the 75 years following the release of a report. Over the last 40 years, every trustee's report has pointed to the program having a long-term funding obligation shortfall. In plain English, not enough income will be brought in over 75 years to cover outlays such as benefits, including cost of living adjustment, and to a lesser degree, the cost to operate the Social Security program. And of course, the politicians are not helping. They ain't trying to save this. They get their big checks upon Capitol Hill, all the rich, wealthy, people and rich politicians. They ain't worried about this. People like you and I go along and pay into it, and then they're going to tell us we can't get the money. Anyway, this long-term cash shortfall has been growing for decades and reached 23.2 trillion in 2024. But it isn't the most immediate concern. The 2024 trustee report also estimates the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund, OASI, will deplete its asset reserves by 2033. The OASI is responsible for additional payments to retired workers and survivors beneficiaries each month, and its asset reserves represent the excess income collected since inception that invested in special issue government bonds as required by law. At the end of 2023, the OASI had 2.641 trillion in reserves that were invested in interest-bearing securities. By 2033, this excess income is expected to be exhausted. Why would it be exhausted? But anyway, if the OASI asset reserves are depleted, retired workers and survivors beneficiaries would see their monthly Social Security check reduced by up to 21%. If there's a silver lining here, it's that Social Security is in no danger of going bankrupt or failing to be there for when you retire. However, the continuity of the existing payout schedule, including annual COLAs, is very much in danger of being disrupted in just 8 years. Point the finger of blame at demographic shifts. If you're wondering how Social Security long-term financial health deteriorated, look no further than a multitude of demographic shifts. All right, let me see what they're talking about. For example, the US birth rate is at an historic low and has declined by 17% since 2007. Is that why some politicians are pushing we need more babies, ban abortion? Anyway, that's just my thought. Through a persistent decline in birth doesn't have, sorry, let me read that again. Though a persistent decline in birth doesn't have an immediate impact on Social Security, it is expected to weigh down the worker to beneficiary ratio over the next 10 to 20 years. And I would say people that are working gig economies, automation taking over jobs, you automate everything, you don't have workers to pay into Social Security, and the corporations don't have to match that either. You know, so let's see if they address stuff like that later on. It is expected to weigh down the worker to beneficiary ratio over the next 10 to 20 years. This comes atop the ongoing retirement of baby boomers, which is also lowering the worker to beneficiary ratio. So basically, they want us to work for the rest of our lives unless you figure out a way to get wealthy and not depend on Social Security. So anyway, rising income inequality is another issue that can't be swept under the rug. In 2025, all earned income wages and salaries, but not investment income, between 0.01 and 176,100 is subject to the 12.4% payroll tax, which is the primary funding mechanism for Social Security. And, you know, we need to get the rich, wealthy corporation to pay their share. All the rich, wealthy people, you know, that has businesses. I mean, I guess if you're not owning a business and hiring employees, I guess you don't worry about that. And just another thought come to my head. In the mid 1980s, around 90% of all earned income was subject to the payroll tax. But as of 2023, only 83% of earned income was subject to this tax. So what happened to the others? You know, 17% or 23% or whatever. Long-term short wages growth of high earners is outpacing the near annual increase in the payroll tax cap. Long story short, wage growth for high earners is outpacing the near annual increase in payroll tax cap, leading to more wages and salary escaping the payroll tax over time. Immigration also deserves its fair share of the blame. But not for the reason you might think. Social Security relies on a steady influx of legal net migration into the US to help generate payroll tax income. Most legal immigrants are young, which means they'll spend decades in the labor force contributing to Social Security before receiving a retired worker benefit for their own decades down the line. Another thought came to my mind as an immigrant myself. When I came here and as a green card holder, you pay into taxes. I mean, sorry, you pay Social Security. You pay that FICA, that comes out of your paycheck. But I don't believe immigrants, even ones on work permit, probably pays into the Social Security, but they don't collect. Only U.S. citizens collect Social Security. So if you're a green card holder or a permanent resident, it's best to become a U.S. citizen. You're allowed to stay here for X amount of years, and then you have to renew every 10 years your green card or your permanent resident status to keep staying in America to work. You can work, but you don't get all the benefits of a citizen, which is entitled to your Social Security, getting your Medicare benefits and stuff like that. You can even join the military as a green card holder, but you cannot become a commissioned officer, and you can only serve, I think, 8 years. And that's why the military has a program for you to convert from a permanent resident to become a naturalized citizen. Somebody can, fact check me on that. Immigration. Okay, continue on from that. I was just throwing in my thought. However, the net migration rate into the U.S. declined for 25 consecutive years from 1998 through 2023. This 58% peak to throw drop in the net migration rate is widening Social Security funding obligation shortfall. And so now we have a incoming president who's against immigration. They want to, I can see want to stabilize the body to make sure people are not coming over, illegally and not coming here to contribute to the U.S., doing criminals or wrongdoers or whatever. But most people coming here for a better life and to contribute. But with all this talk about, immigrants is the problem and immigrants causing this problem and that problem and making immigrants the enemies, that's, people that would come in here and work and contribute to Social Security are not, that number is reduced now because there's such a push to get rid of immigrants, especially black and brown immigrants. So, however, the net migration rate into the U.S. declined over 25 consecutive years from 1998 to 2023. This 58% peak to throw drop in the net migration rate and is widening the Social Security funding obligation shortfall. And for those curious, Congress didn't steal from Social Security trust funds. That's what I keep hearing. I've heard that they borrow from the Social Security trust fund and now they're treating it like it's an entitlement, like it's the federal government who fund it, right? When it's workers who pay into this trust fund that you're supposed to rely on to collect later on. If you put your money in a bank and you got $10,000 there, you expect to go back and see that $10,000 and be able to withdraw portions of it to use for whatever, right? That's how I see Social Security. So they're saying, for those who are curious, Congress didn't steal from your Social Security Trust Fund, nor are undocumented workers receiving traditional Social Security benefits. These two common online scapegoats aren't why Social Security is in trouble. Okay. Let's see. It goes on. Fixes are available, but there's no simple solution. Current and future retirees are counting on their elected officials to put their heads together and strengthen a program that become foundational for most Americans. And these politicians are too busy fighting each other. And in the end, it's only the rich and wealthy benefits. And the poor are voting for these politicians to take care of us. All of us who are not wealthy and rich. And all we have is our Social Security so we can live a decent life, a decent quality of life, even if it's not the life of a wealthy person. We're relying on the Social Security. But these people that we voted, they're fighting each other and creating distractions and culture wars. We're fighting over culture wars instead of working on what we need to do to save things that benefit everyday Americans. Like we're saying here. They're supposed to put their heads together. So anyway, let me continue. I'm just interjecting. All right, I'm sliding down in my chair here. One of the biggest challenges is that Democrats and Republicans have approached fixing Social Security from opposite end of the spectrum. Democrats prefer raising additional revenue by increasing payroll taxes on high earners, while Republicans favors reducing long-term outlays by gradually raising the full retirement age. I'm not in for raising the full retirement age because a lot of us don't know, especially if you're coming from minimum wage background and you didn't earn a lot of money, you don't have a lot of investments and to draw from, and you don't know if you might even live to full retirement age. Right now, a lot of us die before we even reach age 67. Some of us die before we reach 62. So what about all the people that are dying right now? We lost about over 1 million people during the COVID era. That Social Security money is not being paid into, so how is that money depleted? And you see, it seems like I've heard talk about them wanting to give money to Wall Street to trade your Social Security money on the stock market. And when they lose that money, is there any insurance on that to make sure that you get back, your money is still protected even if the market is down? No. If the market is down and your Social Security money is invested in the stock market, your Social Security will go down. I don't know if that's such a good idea, letting Wall Street have it. And all they're going to do is make money off of your Social Security and you still get little to nothing off of it. So Republicans favor reducing long-term outlays by gradually raising the full retirement age. I am okay with the rich people to pay their fair share, to be honest with you. If I was rich, I would pay my fair share. I wouldn't worry about, I'm helping people who didn't work hard to be rich like me, but they're working hard. And a lot of those workers work for those corporations. Rich people cry like if they're paying $1 over what they're supposed, if they have to pay $1 extra that they're supposed to pay, it hurts them. But they have no problem paying politicians millions of dollars to get what they want. But anyway, that's just my take on that. The problem with these core proposals is that there's no support beyond party lines. Democrats are adamantly against any reform that reduces benefits, and raising the full retirement age would require future generations of beneficiaries to wait longer to receive 100% of their monthly payouts. Meanwhile, Republicans are staunchly opposed to legislation that targets high earners. Why? Because a lot of politicians, Republicans and Democrats, are millionaires. Google the wealthiest people in Congress and the Senate, and you see how much the net worth is. People need to wake up, man. The other dilemma is that 60 votes are needed in the upper house of Congress to amend Social Security Act. To amend the Social Security Act. The last time either party held a supermajority of seats, 60 in the Senate, was 1979. This means any meaningful reform would require bipartisan support, which has been tough to come by. But if there's one positive takeaway from this discussion, it's that lawmakers have previously come through their Social Security in the 11th hour. Have come through for Social Security in the 11th hour. For instance, with the program asset revenues running dangerously low in 1983, a bipartisan Congress passed, and then President Ronald Reagan signed the amendment of 1983 into law. Strengthening Social Security can be done, but getting from point A to B will likely prove challenging over the next 8 years. The $22,924 Social Security bonus most retirees completely overlook. Let me read that. What are they talking about? If you're like most Americans, you're a few years or more behind on your retirement savings, but a handful of little-known Social Security secrets could help ensure a boost in your retirement income. For example, one easy trick could pay you as much as $22,924 more each year. Once you learn how to maximize your Social Security benefits, we think you could retire confidently with the peace of mind we're all after. Simply click below to discover how to learn about these strategies. I'll have to read that after this, but that's the story on that. I've been reading this thing for almost 20 minutes now with my own, comments. But they need to work on that. Millions of people are depending on Social Security. And if they think they're just going to cut this thing and just throw their hands up and dust their hands off, that's it. Can't do anything. Sorry, people, but we want you to keep voting for us because that affects your Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act. A lot of us before Affordable Care Act couldn't afford a lot of surgeries and other stuff that we need coverage for our health conditions. Pre-existing wasn't covered. Imagine if you go back, you're making minimum wage, you have to have surgery or something done, and they're telling you, "Oh, sorry, we can't cover you no more. You're gonna have to come out of the pocket $50,000." The problem is the rich are too involved and buying out politicians, so they don't have to pay their fair share to help contribute. It's the poor and hardworking class, 95 mainstream America, black, white, black, brown, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, you name it, are the ones doing the work and paying the taxes. If we late on our taxes, we get fined. If we don't pay enough taxes, we get fined. And we can't cheat on our taxes. They throw us in jail much quicker than a wealthy person. You have to pull teeth to throw a wealthy person in jail. As you can see with, like the incoming president, what he was able to get away with. Even though he spent millions, well, I don't know if he spent millions because he was grifting and, selling Bibles and sneakers and it looked like he got a lot of support and was able to earn some money, use that to pay his lawyers, I guess. But anyway, something to think about, people. What y'all think? You can let me know your comments. If y'all are close to 60 like me, this year I'm 60, and 2 more years, 62. Don't know if I live, I might draw it at 62, or if things are going well, I might draw it at 67 to get the bigger portion of it. But we need to pay attention and hold our politicians accountable to make sure that they don't sit there and play politics and distract us and use that as an example to not fund Social Security. When we paid our money into it, if I loan you money that you're going to pay me back, I give you money, and I want that money back. Just like you put your money with an investment. You expect them to grow your money and get your return back. Maybe not the best example because, it depends on if the market is up or down. But what y'all think, people? Let me know. Like, share, and subscribe if you like this article. All right. That's it for now.